Another wall is being constructed in China. However, it differs slightly from the Great Wall of China. It will involve making use of China's dry land in a way that benefits the locals. According to a UN assessment, the dry regions, which include vast desert expanses, make up 41.3% of the planet's total land area. This indicates that less than half of the Earth's surface is suitable for crop cultivation. China is a large country with a vast landmass, but in the 1970s, it started to worry about the problem of its spreading desert and waged war against it. In this video, we are going to explore how China is turning the desert into green forests. Let's get started. When you think about big countries like China, they have a big population to maintain with a massive land space of 3.5 million square miles. But the thing is that only 12% of that land is arable, and with that land, China is feeding 22% of the world population. Only 12% of China's land area is arable, despite having a surface area that is approximately identical to that of the United States of America. The world's largest agricultural production, however, is in China. Every piece of arable land is exploited extensively, and the government has recently made significant investments to boost crop growth while protecting the land. China has been planting millions of trees as part of a large-scale initiative since 1978 to slow the expansion of the Gobi Desert. Farmer Wang Jini has contributed to turning the huge area green once more after decades of growing trees in the Gobi Desert. As part of China's plan to increase the overall amount of forest cover there to 24.1% by 2023, armies of volunteers have joined the regeneration of the Gobi Desert under the state-led Green Great Wall. Tiananmen Square would be covered in dust almost every spring due to the Gobi Desert, which covered an area of more than 500,000 square miles and ran from northwest China through Mongolia. Wang Tancheng and his family now head busloads of young volunteers from the provincial capital of Lanzhou into the desert each year to plant and water new trees and bushes, becoming a local institution in the Gansu region in northwest China. Since settling on arid territory close to the town of Hongshui in Wuwei, a city in Gansu near the border with Inner Mongolia, in 1980, the Wang family has been combating desertification. The 3 North Shelter Forest Program, a program for planting trees, also referred to as the Great Green Wall, has helped increase overall forest coverage in China from less than 10% in 1949 to about 25% now. This program aims to plant millions of trees along the 2,800-mile border of northern China's advancing desert to begin reforestation operations and curb the massive Gobi Desert's expansion. The trees, according to Chinese forestry ministry specialists, can act as a windbreak and slow the spread of the desert. The goal of the Great Green Wall project, which is anticipated to last until 2050, is to plant 88 million acres of forest along a wall that stretches for about 3,000 miles and can be as wide as 900 miles in some locations. The government has recently added and subsidized a number of significant afforestation projects, leading to the largest tree planting initiative in human history. According to the Chinese government, more than 66 billion trees have been planted in northern China during the past few decades. Thousands of acres of moving dunes have been stabilized as a result, and between 2009 and 2014, the frequency of sandstorms countrywide decreased by 1/5. A report provided by the Chinese Academy of Sciences states that more than 10 million hectares of grasslands have been protected or regenerated. 336,200 square kilometers of desertification have been reversed, and more than 7.8 million hectares of windbreak trees have been planted. This initiative has contributed to increasing total forest coverage from less than 10% in 1949 to nearly 25% of China's total area over the last 4 decades. According to the government, deserts began to spread over the nation at a rate of 10,400 square kilometers per year around the year 2000. However, according to a study from the State Forestry Administration in 2017, the amount has decreased to about 2,400 square kilometers annually. Since the project began, the northern region has had a 5 to 13.5% increase in green cover, and portions of the Gobi Desert are now flourishing with strong plants, fertile soil, and more rain. It is astonishing that such a populated country could have a food supply system that is self-sufficient. A remarkable illustration of this dedication to self-sufficiency comes from the northwest's Xinjiang region. This area is nearly desert, but people in Xinjiang can grow vegetables without rainfall thanks to drop-to-drop irrigation and technology methods designed to prevent evaporation. The outcome? Watermelons, melons, tomatoes, garlic, onions, and much more. There are several excellent items that have gained recognition on a global scale and may compete with southern Italian products in terms of flavor. Due to its quick rate of advancement and the value placed on every hectare of land, desertification is thought to be one of China's key environmental issues. We are referring to the Gobi Desert, one of the driest deserts on Earth, which stretches all the way to Mongolia. Because of irresponsible logging and agriculture practices, desertification is a natural occurrence that has been happening for a very long time. People have made the decision to leave these locations frequently throughout history because of the desert, and as soon as they did, vegetation began to re-emerge. But because of the overcrowding, the issue has come back with a terrifying vigor. Locals witnessed the hills, which were formerly covered with woods, transform into sand dunes. Many individuals are currently relocating to the major cities in the east. Furthermore, sandstorms constantly threaten meadows, the primary source of income, and might completely wipe off the vegetation. These occurrences are escalating in frequency and are totally unanticipated. Sandstorms can move forward for kilometers at tremendous rates and in extraordinary sizes. For example, those in the previous few years have reached Beijing, the capital. The 3 North Shelter Forest Program, the largest reforestation effort ever, was approved by the Chinese government in 1978. The phrase 3 North refers to the 3 regions of North China and emphasizes their dedication to the issue. Shelter forest, meantime, refers to the safety belt that can stop the desert and its sandstorms. It might be the largest environmental plan in existence. In order to increase the forest coverage from 5% to 15%, the plan calls for a wall of trees with a width of 50 meters and a length of almost 4,500 kilometers. There are numerous strategies to encourage reforestation. In the first phase, grassy strips and local trees are planted. In the second, drought and dry-resistant plants like cottonwood are planted. To work on this, several teams are hired, and the seeds may also be dropped from planes. We now have the initial results, despite the fact that the plan must be carried out until 2050. In the north, the percentage of woodland has successfully increased from 5% to 13.5%. A region the size of Greece has had 13 million hectares of trees planted over the past few years to act as a windbreak. By doing this, they have the potential to salvage a section of the desert that is almost as long as Italy. Currently, it appears that desertification is beginning to slow down and trees are expanding more quickly than the desert. The forest is now mature and rainfalls have increased in the places where the first trees were planted. The soil has been able to hold onto the precipitation because of the plants, and the stream's flow has increased as a result. In contrast to the desert, where even when it rains, water evaporates due to the sun, vegetation can either absorb water or allow it to stay in the soil. We can now visit natural parks in those areas where the soil was once dry, such as the Saihanba National Forest Park, which is currently one of North China's top tourist destinations. It is challenging to complete a major job successfully. Numerous criticisms have been made of the initiative, its methods of implementation, the FAO, and the UN agencies that support it. The primary critique centers on the decision to use monoculture. In the majority of cases, only one variety of plants was planted, making the forests susceptible to epidemics. Numerous trees have already been killed by plant diseases in the past. The depletion of soil and the difficulty for animals to establish themselves in a monoculture are 2 additional problems. Other organizations assert that these trees have occasionally been neglected after being planted and just left to nature. The World Bank urged China to focus on quality rather than quantity in 2008 because 1/5 of the trees had died in storms over the winter, had lost 10% of the work produced that year. We must remember that China has planted more trees than the entire world, even though the plan may not be ideal. The largest man-made forest in the world is the Chinese Great Green Wall. Additionally, Africans attempted to stop the Sahara Desert in a similar way to what the Chinese had done. The Great Green Wall of Africa was first begun to be constructed in 2007 under the direction of the African Union. In this instance, we're talking about a longer wall with a length of 8,000 km, 11 signatories, and more than 20 countries in support. Due of its scope and the involvement of so many different nations, this achievement is the most difficult to complete. Some nations have seen better outcomes after 10 years than others, but overall, more than 20 million hectares have been spared. This is significant from a social and economic perspective in addition to one that is purely environmental. It prevents emigration flows by creating jobs and enabling thousands of people to sustain themselves. Please don't forget to let us know your thoughts down below. And as always, if you liked the video, we'd love it if you click the like and subscribe buttons and might as well ring the notification bell for more of our updates. Thank you so much, and we'll see you at the next one.